Hey Cowboys Nation, let's go for another round of news from America's team. Watch until the end so you don't miss any news and sign up to stay tuned for everything that comes out about the Cowboys.
Cowboys are releasing veteran WR. The Dallas Cowboys are always put under the microscope for the decisions that they make, especially as they look to contend for Super Bowls. The team recently made a key move at the wide receiver position to release veteran wide receiver Martavis Bryant. According to the NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, other teams are expected to bring him in for a look. According to the NFL Network's Tom Pelissero, other teams are expected to bring him in for a look. Credit to him, he has not given up on his career and his dream. Now, the 32-year-old will look to continue his NFL career with another team. His best career NFL season came with the Steelers back in 2015. That year, he caught 50 passes on 92 targets for 765 yards and 6 touchdowns. This was when he was a part of an offense with Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and Heath Miller. At minimum, Bryant still should be on a practice squad somewhere. The 6'4", 210-pound pass catcher can still be a big body in the red zone for a team that needs him. He will need to work his way up to earn their trust. Former NFL number 1 pick named potential Cowboys replacement for Dak Prescott. Increasingly, the possibility of Dak Prescott moving on from the Cowboys after the 2024 NFL season looks at least faintly possible. Even if it does not make all that much logical sense, Prescott is heading into the last season of his 4-year, $160 million contract, and the team has no commitment to him beyond this season. It's not a normal situation, of course. Prescott is owed $55 million this year. And even after that, the Cowboys would not be done paying him. Prescott will have dead money on the Cowboys' books even if he leaves the team or is traded, to the tune of $40 million. That's a lot to pay a guy who potentially won't be playing for you. But kicking the financial can down the road is an NFL tradition that, perhaps, the Cowboys want to end, at least at quarterback. It's become a special point for the team given its recent failures in the NFL playoffs. Prescott is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but in the playoffs, he has been something of a disaster, throwing 7 interceptions in 7 games and logging a 2-5 record. With that in mind, the USA Today site Cowboys WR is speculating on potential replacements for Prescott. And one name is especially interesting. Former number 1 overall pick Trevor Lawrence of the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence has had struggles with Jaguars. Lawrence is due for a contract extension himself, coming at a time when he's beginning to register as a disappointment with the team that drafted him. There's no doubt that Lawrence is talented, with 4,000 yards in each of his last 2 seasons, but he failed to make the third-year leap the Jaguars hoped to see out of the guy who was number 1 overall in 2021. The Jags were just 8-8 last season. And though Lawrence played through some significant injuries, he threw 14 interceptions and just 21 touchdowns. Cowboys WR writer K.D. Drummond sees Lawrence as either a short or long-term solution at QB. The third-year starter couldn't lead Jacksonville to double-digit wins and regressed from his TOP 10 MVP campaign of 2022. The Jaguars placed the 5th-year option on him, so he'd have to be put on the trade market in order for the Cowboys to acquire his services. But if the former number 1 selection doesn't turn the corner, he could be available for trade if Jacksonville goes another direction in the draft next year. Or he could come free in 2026 if Dallas lands a bridge QB if Prescott leaves town. Cowboys projected to pay Dak Prescott $56 million. It would likely take a blockbuster to land Lawrence. Certainly, it will take a financial commitment. And if the Cowboys are not willing to commit to Prescott, there would have to be some question about committing to Lawrence. His 5th-year option is valued at $25.7 million. At Spatrack, Lawrence is projected to earn a 6-year, $278 million contract extension. That's $46 million per year over a lengthy time period. Still, it is a relative bargain compared to the site's Prescott projection, which comes in at 4 years and $225 million, or $56.25 million per year. Either way, the financial commitment to the position is hefty. But the $10 million difference between Prescott and Lawrence is the difference when it comes to adding a free agent like Derrick Henry or keeping Tyron Smith and Tony Pollard. Landing Lawrence is a long shot. The Cowboys are still eyeing Trey Lance to take over for Prescott if no new deal is reached. But all options would be on the table, and Lawrence could well become an option in the coming year. Cowboys push to sign potent two-time Super Bowl champ WR. Like most around the NFL, you might find yourself decidedly unimpressed with the handling of the Cowboys offseason. Sure, the team beefed up in the NFL draft, adding talent on both sides of the line. But when it comes to excitement, you're not going to find much among the offensive linemen. The Cowboys lost playmakers Tony Pollard at running back and Michael Gallup at receiver, and have not done much to replace either. Ezekiel Elliott is back in place of Pollard. Replacing Gallup at this point is an entirely inside job. Cowboys receiver CeeDee Lamb is the clear number 1. Brandon Cooks is number 2, but will be 31 and is entering the final year of his contract. Last year's number 3 was Gallup, who is a Raider now after another massively disappointing season, so this year's number 3 is a question mark, with 2022 third-rounder Jalen Tolbert, an underachiever to date, the favorite. That's probably not good enough for a team that might well need to throw more given the steps backward it took in the running game. And while his inconsistency can be severely frustrating, there is a player still on the free agent market who has a good postseason resume and can be had on the cheap. Former Chiefs receiver Marquez Valdez. Marquez Valdez. Scantling has Super Bowl cred. That's the notion from Bleacher Report analyst Christopher Knox, who proposed Valdez, Scantling as one of the 3 remaining players the Cowboys should target in what's left of NFL free agency. MVS is a 6-year NFL veteran who went to Kansas City after spending the first 4 seasons of his career with the Packers. While he has struggled with drops, he remains a quality outside speedster who can stretch the field. In 2020, he led the NFL in yards per catch. At 20.9, he also has 11 games of playoff experience under his belt, with 24 catches for 406 yards and 4 postseason touchdowns. He has 2 championship wins with the Chiefs and grabbed a 16-yard touchdown from Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl 58. Marquez Valdez Scantling is one of the more notable names left on the market, and his skill set would also fit with the Cowboys. The speedy, if sometimes inconsistent receiver can play on the perimeter or in the slot. He would also give Dallas another potent deep threat to help back off opposing defenses. Knox wrote, Valdez Scantling had his fair share of ups and downs with the Kansas City Chiefs over the past 2 years, but he came up big in the 2023 postseason. For a Cowboys team that hasn't advanced past the divisional round since 1995, Valdez Scantling's Super Bowl experience could be quite valuable. If Dallas can land him on a team-friendly deal, Cowboys looking for team-friendly contracts. Team-friendly is the name of the game for the Cowboys these days, as they attempt to navigate an offseason in which they have to decide whether to give Dak Prescott an extension, and likely will have little choice but to offer Lamb a payday of around double the $18 million he is slated to make in 2024. The Cowboys have made little progress on either front, according to recent reports. Talks with Prescott are, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, non-existent, and Lamb has shown no indication of reporting for camp without new deal. Lamb missed voluntary workouts last month, but there is still a determination, more than with Prescott perhaps, for the Cowboys to keep Lamb in place. And asked about it by TMZ in April, Lamb said, "Yeah, I'll be in Dallas."